Hi everyone, CPM Trains here again. And if you've seen my last video, we talked about the big new line extension in Southeast London. And now we're going to a previous project that's been in Southeast London for quite some bits, quite a while. And we're talking about the Docklands Light Railway. It has transformed the East and Southeast London, as they are fast growing areas in London than anywhere else in the capital. There's new homes, new jobs, new towers rising. But there's a problem. Again, the transport is not keeping up. For decades, one railway has quietly transformed the whole districts, and that is the DLR. Now planners, TfL, are trying to extend it all again. Tonight, we are looking at the future of the DLR, the proposed extension to Thamesmead, the possibility of reaching Dagenham Dock, the long discussed Lewisham extensions, and even the idea of a DLR Western extension from Bank to places like Euston and Victoria. Could this be London's next big transport revolution? Or will it be set in the dust for decades to come? Before we talk about extensions, we need to understand what makes the DLR unique. Opened in 1987 to regenerate the derelict Docklands, the Docklands Light Railway was built cheaply, quickly, and flexibly. It used light metro technology, automated trains, and tight curves to fit into constrained spaces. Few people expected it to become one of London's most important growth engines, but it did. As a South Londoner, especially South East Londoner, we access the DLR through Lewisham and Woolwich. So when you use these trains have no driver but have a operator that can do the doors and check people's tickets and do. There's something else he does, but I forgot. The way the DLR is built is very unique compared to the Tube, compared to the National Rail, and compared to Elizabeth Line. The DLR, honestly, is even one of the world's most unique transport systems, because there's rarely any country around the world that uses this type of light metro. You know, the name is light railway. Do not get confused with light rail. Like if you're in America, you hear light rail. No. Light rail is trams that is more segregated. The Docklands Light Railway is literally light metro. It's supposed to be Docklands Light Metro. Or if it was me, if I was going to name it, it would be Docklands Light Tube. But it is what it is. Now back to the subjects. The DLR unlocked Canary Wharf. It supported London City Airport. It reshaped Stratford before and after the Olympics, and it connected communities that were once isolated from central London. And this is very true because DLR from the conception was built within the beginning framework of Canary Wharf's regeneration. And because of this, there was a cross between the plannings of the railways, the government, and the plannings of the Canary Wharf, the area. And I forgot the real estate, the architecture company, I think is something York or something. I need to research that one a bit more, but even though they're out of business now, but they were highly influential in what Canary Wharf is today. And Canary Wharf, for those who have not been there, is literally London's second Manhattan. It is London's second business centre. Outside of the City of London, we have the East London version, which is Canary Wharf. This is where all these major banks have their headquarters. Canary Wharf has not just the DLR integrated with the shopping centre, but with the Jubilee line as well, and now the Elizabeth line. So it just has London, just like how London grows, Canary Wharf is growing in its own pace as well. I would not be surprised if Canary Wharf has its own high-speed railway, because honestly, the amount of money and the amount of pool that area has is very tremendous. If it was its own, I think if anywhere in London would have its own county, I think Canary Wharf would be one of them. The works for DLR, it was cheaper than the underground, more permanent than the busway, and more flexible than heavy rail. So when it comes to planners to look at areas where it needs generation, the DLR often reappeared. And that is very evident in East London, especially around the Galleon's Reach area, where it's going through literally a motorway in between and having stations underground, under the place, like on proper street level. And the way it goes through Silvertown, fully elevated on one side of the street. So once it's past City Airport, it just goes on one side of the street, fully elevated, going through very beautiful houses, flats, and such sorts. And honestly, it is a very unique system, and I wish it gets either have its own category of light metro throughout other places in London, and hopefully we can extend it even further. Let's start with the most talked about proposal, extending the DLR from Galleon's Reach or Beckton to Thamesmead. First of all, why Thamesmead? Thamesmead was built in the 1960s as a bold housing experiment with modernist estates surrounded by lakes and walkways, but it was built without a railway. Today, Thamesmead has tens of thousands of residents and 0 railway stations. The nearest railway connections are Abbey Wood, which is served by the Elizabeth line, and Woolwich Arsenal. Both require buses. The lack of connectivity has held back development. Major landowners and local authorities want thousands of new homes in the area, but high-density housing requires high-capacity transport. This is where the DLR comes in. And those who have not been into Thamesmead know that Thamesmead is a very massive area, and there's very different style of housing in Thamesmead. There's West Thamesmead, which is more of the Woolwich side of Thamesmead. These have more of a European style of housing. They have it's more fresher, more vibrant, more colourful. And then we get to Central Thamesmead. These are where a lot of the blocks, the brutalist blocks, come in. They're more 1960s-esque. They're more experimental in that part for the past. But what saves Thamesmead Central is the town centre. See, the town centre is where major shops are there, and such as Morrison's, such as Aldi, such as sports direct, such as McDonald's, such others there as well. And because the area there is very spacious as well, I think it was a no-brainer that TFR wants to put a station there. Then you have Thamesmead North, which again with the more brutalist kind of blocks. However, it's like a mixture. It's a brutalist kind of blocks for the south part of North Thamesmead, but then the west part of North Thamesmead is more like West Thamesmead, with the houses more colourful, more vibrant. And then you get to the east side of North Thamesmead, and it's more like West Thamesmead, but it's have like this different kind of style. It's again another unique style of housing there, and you can tell by this because Thamesmead, especially this part of Thamesmead, is split by two boroughs. But before I explain that, let me say about Thamesmead South and Thamesmead East. Thamesmead South before used to be brutalist blocks. So Thamesmead South is below the big roundabout, so it's very close to Abbey Wood. These used to have a lot of 1960s blocks of houses. This is where all the lakes are and such forth. But now a lot of them are getting bulldozed by Peabody. Peabody owns most of the houses in Thamesmead, especially council houses and such forth. And for Thamesmead South, there's a big regeneration project going there that is taking out a lot of the brutalist blocks there and replacing them with very modern style houses. So if you go to Thamesmead South, you know about Southmere Lake, I believe, and that's where there's a new library, there's a co-op and such forth, the new style pavements, and there's still more to go on that one, but they are taking a bit slow, but still South Thamesmead will become a modern style of architecture once it's finished. And then we go to Thamesmead East. Thamesmead East, they don't have a lot of new housing being there, but there's going to be a lot of new housing being there. Even though they started in Thamesmead South, Thamesmead East, they haven't really touched it too much. This is where it's very close to Thamesmead Central when it comes to the brutalist, like very brutalist style of housing. These are you have to go inside the paths to get into your houses, like Thamesmead Central. There's a garage integrated within the building itself. And these are due to be taken out, destroyed for more modern style of housing, like Thamesmead South. Hopefully, I think. But mostly, yes, these are the pure 1960s style of housing that does not really look good. They don't look good at all. They're because they camouflage a lot of bad weather in the UK, in London, and they look depressing under rain. Very depressing. But other than that, that is all of the Thamesmead areas. And talking about split boroughs, most of Thamesmead is under Greenwich Council. So we're talking about West Thamesmead, Thamesmead Central, the town centre, and the west of Thamesmead North. While Thamesmead South, Thamesmead East, and the east of Thamesmead North is owned by Bexley, which is why I really had to stress the importance of the style of housing and the description of these areas within Thamesmead, because it is very fascinating how Thamesmead was designed from the 1960s to now, and how it was able to function as an area split in the middle between two boroughs. And you might be asking, why is Thamesmead split between two boroughs? Just like Abbey Wood, the reason why these two areas are split between two boroughs is because back in the past, the parishes of Plumstead and the parishes of Erith drew the line between that. So if you go on Google Maps and you see Knee Hill, that is from Knee Hill to Harrow Manor Way to the big roundabout. That used to be a parish line. So there was the parish of Plumstead and then the parish of Erith, and the border was around that area. So when fast forward around 1965, when the new boroughs are being introduced, Greenwich was already established and incorporated Plumstead parish, and now when Bexley was being conceived, the planners decided, let's just use the parish line and make the councils work together with the two areas. What the proposal looks like: the most developed idea is to extend the DLR from Galleon's Reach across the Thames. There will be a new spur just before the DLR goes westwards to Beckton. Instead, a new spur will emerge eastwards into Beckton Riverside. A new stop will be there around Armando Way and around the Galleon's Reach shopping centre. And then a new tunnel will emerge, and it will then go under the Thames and re-emerge into Thamesmead Town Centre. These two stations will serve new development zones and build lots and lots of housing. In fact, as of today, the government has confirmed of a new town called Thamesmead Waterfront, as there's a lot of land northwest of Thamesmead Town Centre that has yet to be used. Part of this was because there was a proposal for a new road bridge connecting Thamesmead and Galleon's Reach. However, the government has decided this is not going through anymore. And yeah, the writing was on the wall because it has been through planning hell. As I said in my Big Blue Line video, yeah, this was going through planning hell as well. So I think it's good that we take it out of its misery than, just not using it at all. Another one could be because a lot of developers just haven't done area yet. Because again, Thamesmead is a big area, but now we're going to make it even bigger because the housing crisis and a lot of other things as well. However, this new DLR extension will cut journey times dramatically, link Thamesmead directly to the Canary Wharf, create a fast route to the city, and unlock large-scale housing. The transport modelling suggests there is strong demand, but it's not so simple. I'm going to list some of the challenges that this extension has, and if it's worth the £1.62 billion or should something else be done about it. One of the challenges is the Thames. Thames is very, very wide here. It's like it's the widest part compared to West London and some parts of Central London. The Thames is very big in East London, which is why there's hardly any road bridges in this part of the city, and why we have, why East London and South East London has to rely on the Blackwall Tunnel. Now we have another tunnel, the Silvertown Tunnel, but still it does not really solve the problem of we have to rely on them if we want to cross the city. And if we have to cross again the M25, which uses Dartford crossing. Dartford crossing is another thing that you have to pay for, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal because it kind of feels like we're not living in the same city as in West London. If you want to cross the bridge, you can do it freely. That's fine. But for East London, you have to pay up. The infrastructure doesn't pay for itself. You have to pay up. That's how it feels. But it is what it is, I guess. Either way, the project is very expensive for just 2 stops and the tunnel. Even though it will regenerate a lot of houses, I believe, because DLR has its fame. It has good connections within East London, within even bits of South London. It's still not enough compared to if it was the overground. If it was the overground coming from Barking and Riverside into Thamesmead, I think that would be a different discussion. However, TfL has ruled this out because there's a capacity constraint on the Gosport Oak to Barking line, which it cannot afford. I think that's what they said. So they say the DLR is more suitable for this one because I believe it can link more people around East London than the overground can. And with the DLR, there is a little problem with that because the Bank and Tower Gateway terminuses are very constrained because they're the furthest into the city, and there is a lot of DLRs link that goes to Lewisham, goes to Beckton, goes to Stratford. No, they don't go to Stratford, no. They go to Woolwich Arsenal. So now, if you're going to add Thamesmead to the mix, I believe there has to be something to alleviate pressure, because that's what's going to happen. If nothing changes, there is going to be a lot of pressure on these terminuses. Another one is government backing. Right now, the government has not been trusted when it comes to long-term thinking. It thinks very short-term. The politics is very toxic when it comes to transport funding. If you look at HS2, for example, so anything over £1 billion, you should take it with a grain of salt, because I don't believe the government, and I don't think you should believe the government as well. And to be honest, this is just a chicken and egg problem. If the DLR, we need to fund it. It's over £1 billion, we need to fund it. Yeah, if the fund is secured, that's fine, but we need to see space on the ground, people actually trying to build it, because then developers can build the houses quicker. If not, the developers are not going to see the DLR coming. They're not going to, build houses quickly because of it. They won't be incentivized to do so. So, yeah, it's just a chicken and egg problem, which needs to be addressed. Beyond Thamesmead, Belvedere. Some planners argue that stopping at Thamesmead isn't enough. If the DLR crosses the river, why not continue east to Belvedere? Bexley Council has argued for this for so many years. They even put in their growth strategy. They want the crossroad to be extended. They want DLR to be extended to Belvedere. Belvedere sits along the North Kent line and between Abbeywood and Erith. It has industrial land, riverside plots, and major redevelopment potential. Extending the DLR further could create orbital connectivity, relieve pressure on National Rail, support large-scale housing growth, strengthen links between Bexley and Docklands. But the further the line goes, the higher it will cost, and the more complex the business case can become. Still, no long-term planning documents. The Belvedere option appears repeatedly, and there's a reason why. The reason why Belvedere option appears repeatedly is because the area and to extend the DLR there is less complex than extending the DLR to Abbeywood. A lot of people want to extend the DLR to Abbeywood. TFR have looked into this, and I believe they have struck this idea down because the housing there. So if you're going to extend the DLR to Abbeywood, it will need to cross the big roundabouts, which is one big potential blockade. But then past that roundabout is the new housing development, South Thamesmead, the Southmere Lake, and to cross that would not be good because then you have to bulldoze a newly built housing estate, and that's just more costly. I think the only option I can see, if you could still get to Abbeywood, it would be if you put the DLR on an elevated plane, on an elevated track on top of the road. So if you could get from the big roundabout and the DLR goes down the road to Abbeywood Station, maybe that could work. Other than that, there is no way you can link past that roundabout into Abbeywood Station via DLR. Maybe if you could put the DLR underground, but that should be more expensive, and there's no TFR is just not going to do that. There's no business case for that. Nothing there that would warrant it. So TFR won't do that. So then what do you do if you want to extend it further? And if you're Bexley Council with the only borough in London, I believe. No. They're not. They're like one of the few boroughs in London with no tube, no DLR, no overground. Only half of a Elizabeth line station. Then you are more inclined to tell TfL to extend the DLR to Belvedere. Because if you see from the map, from Thamesmead to Belvedere is in a more northwestern axis. So it's more like a diagonal axis, and I think you can avoid a lot of the new houses there, and the road, Yarnton Way, can support a DLR through the middle. I think it can do that, and then it can come off the road and enter the industrial land, and then situate itself next to the National Rail Station. So I think it's more easier that way. And if it will, TFL was to go ahead with it, it will only rise the cost of the project maybe £500 million, because remember, it's only one station, and no, it's gonna be two stations. Yarnton Way will be a station. But yeah, so if it's gonna be Yarnton Way and Belvedere, I believe 500 to 750 million pounds, and that's so it could raise to 2 billion, but then it'll be more worth it that way. It'll be like a proper train extension, not just one stop underground tunnel, then another stop. If you can extend it further, then it'll be great. If not, then at least TfL has said they will make sure the Thamesmead portion of the station is open for extending it. So provisional provision, and also another extension. I think there was a London Council meeting in the GLA. I think one of the MPs were questioning TfL if, because they're extending the DLR to Thamesmead, if the Dagenham Dock extension was still is still a available option for TfL to take. And I believe TfL did say yes, that when they're building the DLR to Thamesmead, that they'll make sure there is space for extension to Dagenham Dock, which I will talk about right now. Now look east of Barking. Dagenham Dock is a vast industrial area on the north bank of the Thames. It has freight lines, factories, logistics centres, and huge development potential. London housing strategy increasingly looks into the east of London. An extension of the DLR from Gallions Reach or Beckton toward Dagenham Dock would serve new housing districts, provide alternatives to overcrowded C2C and district line services, connect industrial jobs to Docklands and Stratford. And this appeal is obvious. It's vast land, relatively few existing constraints, and has room to grow. But demand today is lower than in Thamesmead, so the immediate passenger case is weaker. This becomes a long-term strategic bet, but not an immediate necessity. However, I believe if TfL just had a little bit more money, I believe both of these extensions could be done at the same time. Because both extensions from their proposals show that they're going to pass through Beckton Riverside. On Beckton Riverside, then one can go through a tunnel into Thamesmead, and another one goes east towards Barking Riverside. And then it can connect to the overground there. So instead of having to extend the overground to Thamesmead, have the DLR link the overground at Barking Riverside, and this will just connect so much houses from Beckton Riverside to Barking Riverside. These houses will be vastly connected to not just Stratford, not just Canary Wharf, but to North London and the city, which is very strategic and for lower cost. I say if both extensions were to happen, we're including from Belvedere and Dagenham Dock, but I say maybe Bean Park, just a little bit extra to Bean Park should be good, because a lot of houses going that way as well. So if TfL could get both of these areas sorted out, then I say that not only will demand show up, but a lot of money will come TfL's way because of the amount of houses that are again built in these areas is very vast. And if TfL can capture a lot of the people that's going to be using these kind of services, then I say it's for the better. Part 5, the Lewisham question. The DLR already reaches Lewisham, but capacity is tight. Lewisham is one of the Southeast London busiest hubs, linking National Rail buses and the DLR. It's soon to be the Bakerloo line as well. So this area is going to have a boom in just people in general. There have been discussions about increasing the capacity of the Lewisham branch, rate separating junctions, extending beyond Lewisham to Catford or Bromley. An extension south would radically improve connectivity in Southeast London, an area historically underserved by the tube. But any further extension would require complex tunnelling and major upgrades to central DLR capacity. The Lewisham branch is already one of the busiest parts of the network. Without increasing core capacity through Bank and Canary Wharf, further expansion becomes difficult. There was a few areas that has been discussed for a DLR extension past Lewisham, which was Forest Hill, Catford and Bromley. To me, I believe Bromley will be the best candidate for a DLR extension. I made a Metro Dreaming map, I will show it in the video, that shows DLR Bromley, because I believe there is a branch line of Bromley North that is underutilized by Southeastern, that if you could convert that into a DLR line and have it next to the main line until it reaches Lewisham, and have a tunnel under Lewisham Gateway into to a new Lewisham station that can link the Bakerloo line extension as well. I'm thinking this will become not even just a higher core, but this is just a more sensible move for TfL and for other boroughs. Because I know Bromley Borough would want this, Lewisham Borough would want this, Bexley would want this as well, because it just helps them. Because their main line, their National Rail is connected to Lewisham, so it will benefit them as well. So Greenwich as well will want this because they'll have new links from Greenwich to Bromley. So I'm thinking a Bromley extension would be more appropriate than the others, because the other areas will be either connected by the Bakerloo line extension or they're already served, such as the Overground. The most ambitious proposal from the ones that have been discussed is the DLR west of Bank. Currently, Bank is the western terminus, but Bank is also congested. Even after recent upgrades, what if the DLR continued west? Ideas that have been included is Euston, Holborn, Victoria, even Waterloo. Why? Because westward expansion would provide new cross-central connections, relieve pressure on the central and northern lines, connect HS2 at Euston, create a new east-west metro corridor. Technically, it's possible, but it would require deep tunneling, pushing the DLR far beyond its original light rail cost advantage. At that point, you're building something closer to a full underground line. And that raises the question, is it still the DLR? My thing is yes, it will still be the DLR, because you're just in for moving the bank extension. I believe it is needed because bank and tower gateway is heavily constrained. And if you're going to add Thamesmead into the mix, and let's say you add Bromley into the mix, there's no way these stations can cope with that amount of people. And even though the bank station got upgraded for more passengers from the Northern Line, it has more station entrances, it's still not enough, especially if you're having more services into it. It's just going to induce demand even further. So I'm thinking we need to shift the terminuses, have bank as still as a terminus, but have it that some services don't terminate there, some services terminate further on. So some services will terminate at Euston, some of them will terminate at Victoria, some of them will terminate at Waterloo, or I don't know. What TfL could do is up to them, but from what I have seen, because I've been to bank is very, very busy and heavily congested. If nothing is done with bank, then TfL will have trouble in their hands. Tower gateway needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be removed. All DLR services should go to bank. It should be Tower Gateway should be an underground station that links Tower Hill and Fenchurch Street, because Fenchurch Street is right next to it, and it should be connected. Fenchurch Street should be on the map. So yeah, should we? Or maybe you could add, if let's say that was to happen, because Fenchurch Street is going to expand, so it will take land from Tower Gateway. But let's say they're able to expand that and Tower Gateway is underground. This could be even more beneficial because you could put terminating platforms there, add like a free platform station so that some services can just terminate there and come back. But yeah, that's my plan for bank, I'll say, because if nothing is done, bank will be in big trouble. Capacity constraints. Every extension proposal runs into the same issue, and that is the DLR's core capacity. The DLR is a lot of branches converging into one, or at least a few nodes, and that is Bank, Canary Wharf, and Popular. Adding more branches increases the pressure on the center. The recent Bank station rebuild improved passenger circulation, but the train frequencies are still constrained by signaling and junction layouts. Any major expansion would require new rolling stock, possibly longer trains, signaling upgrades, potentially new central tunnels. This is no longer a small add-on railway, it's become a system-wide upgrade, which, to be honest, is needed. It's a light tube and we should act like it is. Why is the DLR still attractive? Despite challenges, planners keep returning to the DLR for 4 reasons. It's cheaper per kilometer than the underground, it has proven regeneration power, it integrates well with the housing growth, and it's flexible and automated. Compared with heavy rail, it's easier to weave into dense areas. Compared with trams, it offers higher capacity. It occupies a unique middle ground. The politics and funding reality. Transport for London faces financial pressure. Major projects like Crossroad 2 remain paused. National government funding priorities fluctuate. And it fluctuates. That's why they can't be trusted. That makes £1 billion DLR extensions politically difficult. No, it doesn't. It just politicians being politicians. Thameslink has the strongest current case because it fixes a long-standing transport desert. It links with the Elizabeth line and it unlocks housing. But even that requires sustained political commitment, which I don't really like that term. It's not really political commitment because these kind of transport projects, people will support it. Compared to, I don't know, America or Australia, and the government announces a new railway project, people will like it. People like trains here. They don't dislike trains. And if one of the trains are getting extended to their area, a lot of people are going to say yes. What have you been waiting for? Like, that's what the British view is. They don't really, no, we don't want this, or what the hell. But yeah, like this time of political will, political commitment, it's just the politicians. They're not, if they're not on board with it, nothing gets done, right? So it's just on them. So that's why if we need to get things sorted more quickly, I think we need to be telling the politicians, this is what you need to do, get it sorted. If not, then your seat is not comfortable, then we'll just take you out of the seat. That's what I'll say. Other than that, then if people really want things done quickly, then they know what they need to do. If not, then we just keep on with the same old. Okay, so what is the strategic question? London's growth is moving east and southeast. If transport doesn't follow, inequality widens. The DLR could tie together the Thames Gateway, support housing targets, reduce car dependency, and create new economic corridors. Only if expansion happens before development locks in car-based patterns. You cannot really remove car-based patterns, because even though London has one of the best transport systems in the world, it still has a lot of constraints that a car can just fix. There's only two things that I believe can happen, and that is it can slow down car dependency. So it can slow down the rate of people getting new cars or people just driving in general. But if you're close to, in Southeast London, if you're close to a big shopping center and you're making big shopping for your family and stuff like that, you're going to drive a car. You're not going to get a train for that. You're not going to get a bus for that. You know, there's things that public transport does best, and there's things that a car will just do best. And in that example, I think a car does best when it comes to handling larger challenges, while public transport works best when it's just moving you places from A to B. But problem is, Southeast London is only the National Rail is here. That's the most reliable part of our travel. So we're only constrained to London Victoria, Charing Cross, and Cannon Streets, which is they're not too bad. But problem is, again, we have to pay more for that because it's National Rail compared to if it was If we was in East London, North London, West London, we'll be paying a little bit cheaper with TFR prices instead of National Rail ones. But let's conclude. Which extension happens first? If forced to rank the likelihood, Thamesmead obviously is TFR have been pushing this for quite a bit. Thamesmead is going to be the one that's going to get built the first. Then maybe Lewisham, because Lewisham station gets packed real quick. Maybe they'll see what they can do within Lewisham first. Then they'll do Dagenham Dock because Overground is already sorted out, Barking Riverside. Adding the DLR there will just be a bonus. Then Belvedere, because it will really depend on if Thamesmead is successful. If Thamesmead is successful, then yes, I believe that Belvedere will get built ASAP. If it's not, and if it's sluggish, then Belvedere will just be on the shelf. And then obviously the Western extensions, they're not happening anytime soon. But I wish they did do something about it, because that needs to happen. Maybe use the abandoned Jubilee line or Fleet line plans and incorporate it to the DLR. But yeah, they need to do something about that real quick. Even though it's not going to happen soon, something needs to be done. She believed it will reshape London. Today, it's indispensable. The DLR went from gamble to success. The question now is whether East and South East London need better transport. They do. But the question is whether the DLR will once again be the tool to reshape the map. From Thamesmead to Dagenham, from Lewisham to Euston, the next chapter of the Docklands Light Railway has not been written yet, but the demand for it is growing, and it's growing fast. If you like the video, please comment, or please tell me where there's something right or there's something wrong talking about the DLR extensions. If not, then yeah, just give a like, subscribe, and I'll be making more frequent videos. Thank you very much. CPM Trains out.